What do you do when it's too late, when the doctor has no more answers, when the funeral is over, when the tomb is sealed? This is the story of a man named Lazarus. His sisters watched him get sick. They sent for the only person they thought could help, but he didn't come in time. They watched their brother die. They wrapped his body. They carried him to a cave and rolled a massive stone in front of it. For 4 days, the only thing left to do was grieve. The situation wasn't just tragic, it was final. But what if the one they called had a different plan? What if he allowed things to get this bad, to prove that nothing is beyond his reach? This is not a story about avoiding death. This is a story about defeating it. What happens when the one who claims to be the resurrection and the life finally arrives and stands face to face with the stench of death itself? Lazarus, come out. The answer will change everything you think you know about hope, power, and the love of God. This is the miracle at the tomb of Lazarus. Keep watching. John chapter 11 verses 1 to 44 verse 1. Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. The narrative begins with the introduction of Lazarus, a man who is gravely ill. He hails from Bethany, a village known for being the home of Mary and Martha. This sets the stage for the miraculous event that is about to unfold, emphasizing the personal connection Jesus had with this family. Verse 2. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. This verse provides additional context about Mary, identifying her as the woman who anointed Jesus with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. This act of devotion is recorded in John chapter 12 verse 3, and it highlights the close relationship between Jesus and this family. Verse 3. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, Lord, the one you love is sick. Mary and Martha, concerned for their brother, send a message to Jesus, appealing to his love for Lazarus. This demonstrates their faith in Jesus' ability to heal, as they believed that his presence could save their brother from death. Verse 4. When he heard this, Jesus said, This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory so that God's Son may be glorified through it. Jesus responds with a profound statement, indicating that Lazarus' illness is not meant to result in death but rather to serve as a means to glorify God and his Son. This suggests that the upcoming miracle will be a powerful demonstration of Jesus' divine authority. Verse 5. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. This verse underscores the deep affection Jesus had for Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. It emphasizes that Jesus' actions are motivated by love, even though he delays his arrival, which will lead to Lazarus' death. Verse 6. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. Despite the urgency of the situation, Jesus chooses to remain where he is for 2 more days. This delay is intentional, as it will set the stage for a greater miracle, raising Lazarus from the dead, thus glorifying God more profoundly. Verse 7. And then he said to his disciples, Let us go back to Judea. After the 2-day delay, Jesus decides to return to Judea. This decision is significant because Judea is where Lazarus is located, and it is also a place of danger for Jesus, as his enemies seek to harm him. Verse 8. But Rabbi, they said, a short while ago the Jews there tried to stone you, and yet you are going back? Jesus' disciples express their concern for his safety, reminding him of the recent threats he faced in Judea. Their fear highlights the tension between Jesus' mission and the hostility he encounters from some Jewish leaders. Verse 9. Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world's light. Jesus responds with a metaphorical statement, suggesting that as long as he is fulfilling his Father's will, walking in the daylight, he is safe. This implies that his time to act is now, and he must proceed with his mission despite the dangers. Verse 10. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light. Continuing the metaphor, Jesus contrasts walking in the daylight with walking at night. The night represents acting outside of God's will, which leads to stumbling. Jesus is affirming that he is in perfect alignment with his Father's timing and purpose. Verse 11. After he had said this, he went on to tell them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up." Jesus uses the metaphor of sleep to describe Lazarus' death. This is a common biblical euphemism for death, but the disciples misunderstand his meaning, thinking he is referring to literal sleep. Verse 12. His disciples replied, "Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better." The disciples assume that if Lazarus is merely asleep, he will recover naturally. This misunderstanding sets the stage for Jesus to clarify the true nature of Lazarus' condition. Verse 13. Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. This verse explicitly states that Jesus was referring to Lazarus' death, not literal sleep. The disciples' misinterpretation highlights the gap between human understanding and divine revelation. Verse 14. So then he told them plainly, "Lazarus is dead." Jesus clarifies the situation, stating plainly that Lazarus has died. This direct statement prepares the disciples for the miracle that is about to take place and underscores the gravity of the situation. Verse 15. And for your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe, but let us go to him. Jesus expresses that he is glad he was not present when Lazarus died, as this will allow the disciples to witness a greater miracle that will strengthen their faith. He then invites them to accompany him to Bethany. Verse 16. Then Thomas, also known as Didymus, said to the rest of the disciples, "Let us also go, that we may die with him." Thomas, often remembered for his later doubt, John chapter 20 verses 24 to 29, here shows a different side of his character. His loyalty to Jesus, even in the face of potential danger. His willingness to follow Jesus, despite the risks, reflects his commitment to the Lord. Verse 17. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. When Jesus arrives in Bethany, he discovers that Lazarus has been dead for 4 days. In Jewish tradition, it was believed that the soul remained near the body for 3 days after death, so 4 days would have confirmed that Lazarus was truly dead, making the miracle even more astonishing. Verse 18. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem. This verse provides geographical context, showing that Bethany is close to Jerusalem. This proximity means that many Jews from Jerusalem could easily come to Bethany, which is why a crowd gathers later in the story. Verse 19. And many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. The presence of many Jews in Bethany indicates that Lazarus and his sisters were well known and respected in the community. The mourners are there to offer comfort, which sets the scene for a large audience to witness the coming miracle. Verse 20. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Martha, ever the proactive sister, goes out to meet Jesus as soon as she hears of his arrival. Mary, perhaps overwhelmed by grief, remains at home. This difference in their responses reflects their personalities and sets up their individual encounters with Jesus. Verse 21. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Martha expresses her belief in Jesus' power to heal, implying that if he had arrived sooner, Lazarus would still be alive. This statement shows her faith in Jesus' ability to prevent death, but she has not yet grasped his power over death itself. Verse 22. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. Martha's faith is further revealed as she expresses her confidence that Jesus can still do something, even in the face of death. Her statement is a seed of faith that will be fully realized in the miracle to come. Verse 23. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Jesus responds with a promise that Lazarus will rise again. This statement can be understood on 2 levels. The immediate resurrection of Lazarus and the future resurrection of all believers at the end of time. Verse 24. Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Martha interprets Jesus' words in a theological sense, referring to the general resurrection of the dead on the last day. While she believes in the future resurrection, she does not yet understand that Jesus is about to demonstrate his power over death in the present. Verse 25. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. Jesus makes one of his most profound declarations, identifying himself as the resurrection and the life. This statement goes beyond the promise of physical resurrection. It speaks of eternal life through faith in him. Jesus is asserting his divine authority over life and death. Verse 26. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Jesus continues to expand on the concept of eternal life, emphasizing that those who believe in him will not experience spiritual death. He then directly asks Martha if she believes this, inviting her to affirm her faith. Verse 27. Yes, Lord, she replied, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. Martha responds with a powerful confession of faith, declaring her belief that Jesus is the Messiah and the Son of God. This statement is a pivotal moment, as it reflects her recognition of Jesus' true identity and his role in God's plan. Verse 28. After she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. The teacher is here, she said, and is asking for you. Martha returns to her sister Mary and informs her that Jesus is asking for her. This indicates that Jesus desires to speak with Mary, setting the stage for her encounter with him. Verse 29. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Mary responds immediately to the news that Jesus is asking for her. Her swift action shows her eagerness to see Jesus, even in her grief. Verse 30. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. This verse provides a detail about Jesus' location, indicating that he has not yet entered Bethany but remains where he spoke with Martha. This sets the scene for Mary's encounter with him. Verse 31. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house, comforting her, noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. The Jews who were comforting Mary observe her sudden departure and assume she is going to the tomb to mourn. They follow her, adding to the growing crowd that will witness the miracle. Verse 32. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Mary's reaction mirrors Martha's earlier statement, as she falls at Jesus' feet and expresses her belief that his presence could have prevented Lazarus' death. Her words convey her grief and her faith in Jesus' power. Verse 33. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Jesus is deeply affected by the grief of Mary and the mourners. The phrase, deeply moved in spirit, suggests a strong emotional response, indicating his compassion and empathy for those who are suffering. Verse 34. Where have you laid him? He asked. Come and see, Lord, they replied. Jesus asks where Lazarus has been laid to rest, and they invite him to come and see. This question sets the stage for Jesus' journey to the tomb, where the miracle will take place. Verse 35. Jesus wept. This is the shortest verse in the Bible, yet it is one of the most profound. Jesus' tears demonstrate his humanity and his deep sorrow over the pain caused by death. His weeping reveals his compassion for those who are grieving. Verse 36. Then the Jews said, See how he loved him. The Jews recognized the depth of Jesus' love for Lazarus, as evidenced by his tears. Their observation underscores the genuine affection Jesus had for his friend. Verse 37. But some of them said, Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying? Some of the Jews expressed skepticism, questioning why Jesus, who had healed a blind man, could not have prevented Lazarus' death. Their doubt mirrors the disciples' earlier misunderstanding and sets the stage for the display of Jesus' power over death. Verse 38. Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. Jesus, again deeply moved, approaches the tomb, which is described as a cave with a stone covering the entrance. The physical description of the tomb sets the scene for the miracle that is about to occur. Verse 39. Take away the stone, he said. But, Lord, said Martha, the sister of the dead man, by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days. Jesus instructs the people to remove the stone from the tomb, but Martha objects, noting that Lazarus' body would have begun to decay after 4 days. Her objection reflects the natural human concern for the physical realities of death and decay. Verse 40. Then Jesus said, Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? Jesus reminds Martha of his earlier promise, that belief would lead to the revelation of God's glory. This statement serves as a call to faith, urging her to trust in his power and purpose. Verse 41. So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. The stone is removed, and Jesus looks up to heaven, thanking the Father for hearing him. This prayer reflects Jesus' dependence on his Father and his acknowledgement that the miracle about to occur is a result of the Father's will. Verse 42. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me. Jesus explains that his prayer is not only for his own benefit but also for those present, so that they may believe that he is sent by God. This underscores the purpose of the miracle, to reveal Jesus' divine authority and mission. Verse 43. When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. With a commanding voice, Jesus calls Lazarus to come out of the tomb. This is the moment of the miracle, as Jesus' word has the power to overcome death itself. Verse 44. The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen, and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, Take off the grave clothes and let him go. Lazarus emerges from the tomb, still wrapped in burial cloths. Jesus instructs the onlookers to remove the grave clothes, symbolizing his release from death. This miraculous event serves as a powerful demonstration of Jesus' authority over life and death and a foreshadowing of his own resurrection. Through this detailed verse-by-verse analysis, we see the profound significance of Jesus' miracle at the tomb of Lazarus. The narrative not only highlights Jesus' power to raise the dead but also reveals deep themes of faith, belief, and the glory of God. The story of Lazarus serves as a testament to Jesus' identity as the resurrection and the life, offering hope and assurance to all who believe in him.